Well, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Farm Kenya show. I'm Noki Kimboy and today we are talking sustainable agriculture. The way you do farming in a manner that is protecting the environment, that is number one. But two, there is a holistic positiveness, the way you do your farming in a sense that your soil is protected, the way you utilize limited or finite resources like water is handled properly. But at the far end, the product itself, it's healthy, it is of high standard. So we'll be unpacking what it means to be a sustainable farmer. What are some of the systems that we can explore in regards to handling sustainable or making our farms and our farming more sustainable, and later on some of the practical ways that you can take in your farm, wherever you are, you have a small piece of land and you're doing some farming, how you can do it more sustainably. And today in studio, we have a sustainable farming expert who's also an author and lecturer, Robert Mwakio. Thank you very much for making time to speak to Farm Kenya. When you talk about sustainability, just overarching, what are the key elements, even before we unpack later on, shall we be looking at in our conversation in the course of the show?
Thank you so much, Noah, and thank you for hosting me on the show today. When we talk of sustainable, we're talking about the future, and the future is even now. Now, there are several components we look at when we talk about sustainability, especially in agriculture. Most importantly, we're looking at the environment. We're looking at issues like climate, we're looking at soil health, and we're even looking at the best agricultural practices that you can use so that you can come up with crops that are healthy and good for human consumption. Yeah.
Okay, definitely. So it's all about the future, and we're going to be having that conversation in the future right after Agri-News, which we are going to right now. And setting us off is matters mechanization in the fodder world, where we've seen baling becoming more prevalent, but sustainable baling that is faster, more efficient and good for the farmers at the end of the day. When you have proper mechanization in the baling system, you are able to counter some of the overarching challenges that farming faces right now, especially with climate change. With proper baling mechanism, it can handle it pretty well. And here is an item on how this can be done. Take a look.
In the dry seasons, many herders spend thousands transporting hay from far counties. Traditional baling methods are slow, labor-intensive and costly, leaving small-scale farmers behind.
Getting fodder is a big problem, and therefore we've been hiring machines like tractors to mow and bale the grass.
Determined to change this story, a new technology is redefining hay production, one field at a time.
Those square bales are pressed with 20 tons of force. So it's like, the baler is kind of like a hydraulic press, but it works like a John Deere baler, where it takes grass in and it pushes it into a square shape where you can compress it and tie it and then make many bales.
For many pastoralists, this simple innovation is more than a tool, it's a path to resilience.
When you allow animals to graze freely, they only eat 30% of the grass, and they destroy 70% as they move around.
You can take grass at the right time of the year, where it's tall and green and has lots of nutrition in it, and you can cut that, dry it. You don't need a tractor, just mow it or cut it with a scythe, and then you let the moisture dry out, and then you bring this baler in, and you can compress that grass and retain that nutrition.
Compacting grass into tight, uniform bales locks in nutrients and reduces losses, ensuring feed quality months and even years after harvest.
When I give the cows the grass, they eat everything. They eat everything until even you see them licking the ground. Because even the grass smells so nice. The cows would even smell the grass as you remove them from the store.
Instead of buying bales that are at the market, which are dry grass or wheat straw, which have no food value, you could sell these bales by the kilo. It's not a 10-kilo bale. It's a 20 or 30 kilo bale. So you don't sell the bale for the same price as the dry grass. You sell it by the kilo. And so because it's 3 times as heavy as a normal bale and it's full of food, you can sell that for between 700 and 900 shillings per bale.
So I've saved a lot of money. I've been spending over 240,000 of shillings to bale grass.
Affordable tools like this are a glimpse into Kenya's mechanization future technology built for farmers by farmers. Nyakundi Kelvin for KTN.
And farmers in Murang'a County are embracing new technology, which has also been there but not fully embraced by farmers. And this is growing their products without soil, to be specific. Now, according to the farmers, unlike normal maize planting, the technology helps control diseases, insects and animals that can damage plants as they germinate. Essential nutrients are skillfully mixed to help seedlings grow in good health before being planted into the field.
Nimeona ubunifu wa kupanda hii mimea ya tray. Ningeuliza serikali yetu, na kama ingewezekana kila eneo, kila kaunti ikue wanaweza anzisha hii mpango ya kupanda mimea kwa tray, ni tunaweza pigana na janga la njaa.
Kuweka hii mimea kwa shimo inaendelea kukua faster kushinda hiyo ingine. Alafu maugonjwa, haina maugonjwa nyingi kama hii ya kupanda direct. Juu ikiwa kwa tray huwa inakontroliwa hizo diseases. Hii ya kupanda chini iko na maadui wengi sana. Kuna squirrels, kwanza wanatoa kwa shimo, alafu ikimea ugonjwa ndio inaanzia sana. Zinakuwa affected sana na hii inaitwa for armyworm.
Come up na this new technology ndio tuweze ku make sure that wakulima wako safe. Akipanda mahindi yake inaenda kuenda juu. Ukiangalia tunatengeneza hiyo mahindi mpaka inafika 1 foot. So ikifika 1 foot iko sawa, mkulima anaweza kuja kuchukua na hiyo mahindi itaenda kabisa na haitarudi nyuma.
All right, and now from Murang'a, let's head to Homa Bay. And what sector are we talking about? Agriculture. Now, we have lots of players in the agriculture sector, and a good portion, majority of them are small-scale players. Now, with small-scale business in agriculture, sometimes it comes with risks. Now, with those risks, it becomes difficult to get financing and whatnot, and that's why something different is happening down at Homa Bay. A new 12.5 million shilling initiative is actually flooding the local market with 2.5 million high-quality tilapia fingerlings. The move is designed to transition subsistence growers into commercial value chain by eliminating the 5 shilling per inch entry barrier for seed stock.
Today we are starting an initiative to donate fingerlings to small-scale farmers to counties around the lake. This initiative we're starting in Homa Bay, and we intend to donate 2.5 million fingerlings in Homa Bay County to help the small-scale farmers with their fishing activities. We are donating fingerlings to small-scale farmers because we want to encourage small-scale fish farming. Now, fish farming is like, it is an activity that can take place in your backyard, for example. If you grow vegetables for your kitchen, then you should be able to grow some fish for your homestead. Fish is highly nutritious. It works in our fight with food insecurity. And fish is also the lowest priced animal protein in Kenya today.
And in our weekly Farm Guide segment, it takes us all the way to Burundi, where farmers in Matana are turning to an agricultural insurance scheme known as Inkinyo Imurinyi, or translated, Farmer Shield, to protect their livelihoods from the growing impact of drought and floods in Burundi. And this particular story is in partnership with Vari.
The challenge we faced last September at the start of the growing season A was a prolonged drought. We were used to sowing at the beginning of the month, but that was not the case this time. We only started towards the end of October, and even then, the rain was not falling at the usual rate. We tried to plant cassava, but it was ravaged by the rodents we showed you. We tried a second time with the same result. We then switched to planting maize. We saw it growing, but after a short while, it was ravaged by insects in the soil.
The expected agricultural production is being hit by this excess rainfall. This means that household incomes are plummeting. The losses for agricultural insurance payouts. This is why we view this insurance mechanism as a tool for resilience. Generally speaking, I would say it is a tool or a financing mechanism to make this sector more resilient to both climatic and economic shocks.
Rendre ce secteur plus résilient aux chocs climatiques.
The first condition they must provide is the GPS coordinates of their field, so that we can locate and understand the specific risk profile of that land. They must specify the size of the field and, following that, provide us with investment cost, meaning the operating cost they are putting into the field.
All right, and in line with our discussion today on sustainable farming systems and sustainable agriculture, in studio we have Robert Mokio, who's a sustainable agriculture expert, author, and lecturer. And earlier on, you had told us that sustainability is all about the future. Now, we are in someone else's future right now, and somebody will be in our future. Talk to me about this future that we're experiencing presently. What happened in the past that wasn't sustainable when it comes to the way we did our farming?
It's a great point. Our future is our children, will be our children's present. Like where our present is our grandparents, great-grandparents' lifetime. Now, look at this situation. If our grandparents were using poor agricultural systems here, we did this in primary school. We were told factors that cause soil erosion, poor farming methods. You see, That in itself affects us in the present. Come to think about it, we continue planting maize. We've been planting maize from the 60s. We continue planting maize through the system. And then we continue, our children come and continue planting maize with the same soil. Do you think we are depleting the soil? Is it becoming too monotonous? And you know, some of these pests and diseases become even immune to some of these pesticides that we're using. So how can we control the future? We're looking at the past mistakes that some of our grandparents did, some of the agricultural systems that they were doing, and some of the issues that are affecting plant growth right now. You see, there's some weeds that have become immune even to pesticides because some of our grandparents were overusing or misusing them, even for animals, you know. So how can we do this? How can we learn from our past? How can we sustain our future? So a few things like deviating from the normal practices, like growing maize, intercropping maize and beans and whatnot. We need to start looking at other systems of agricultural practices here. Doing the same thing over and over and over, at the end of the day, we're going to, to have very poor harvest at the end of the season.
Okay. And that embrace of new systems, it's quite interesting because there are diverse systems that you can adopt depending on where you are. I mean, many of them globally, but in our local context, I'd like us to explore some of these systems. There is the issue of conservation agriculture, for example, where they say, you sort of minimize interfering with the soil, especially. You've talked about how we've planted maize over and over, depleted resources. Maybe for conservation agriculture, how is that handled?
I mean, there are several ways you can handle that. I mean, there's several systems that you can embrace. We can do crop rotation. We don't need to be planting corn all the time. We can deviate into other things. Secondly, we can altogether do mixed farming, mixed crop farming. Yeah, where we can mix. Like I was doing some little research on sunflower. Sunflower can be mixed with so many plants. Yeah, you can do your corn or your mahindi with sunflower, or you can do even soya. So the thing is, we are not telling farmers to stop planting maize. Maize is a staple crop, but we are trying to see, for the sake of the soil, what can you do? There are times when you can do your farming, you just leave your land to heal. That is after subsequent, use of fertilizer, use of pesticides. There are times you just let your land just stay like that, yeah? Conservation also means a lot, Look at your soil health. Sometimes we deplete, we actually deplete the soil. The soil doesn't even have any nutrients left because we keep on adding more fertilizer here and there. So basically, if I'm to advise a Kenyan farmer, we try to limit. Sometimes there are farmers who will overplant, and then at the end of the day, you will start seeing farmers complaining of stunted growth, whatnot. Yeah. So let's start embracing other crops. Yeah. I've been talking about crops like soya. I've been talking about crops that you can even use as animal feed. Yeah. So also adapting indigenous kind of plants like sorghum, millet. You can do that in your farm. Okay. But at the end of the day, let us look at the way we do our farming and embrace technology processes such as mulching, soil conservation, water retention, and also how we channel the water. Sometimes surface runoff actually just also plays a part of depleting. So even how you cultivate your land matters. Yeah.
And trees are a very important part of this transformation.
Yeah, trees are very important. There are trees that can actually also help enriching the soil. the leguminous type of trees. You can even use things like lucerne to plant on your because it can also be used as animal feed. Trees also help in as windbreaks. And we also need to embrace trees in checking soil erosion. You know, planting trees where there's a lot of surface runoff. The roots of the trees are able to, you know, hold the soil. So we, like you said, we need to embrace tree farming or tree planting as part of soil conservation and part of farming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a fact that we face. The reality is that a majority of our farms in this country, we fall under small-scale farmers, okay? That is 80%. And I like to speak to this demographic because I think it's the demographic that has sort of the most impact. If at all you want to change farming in Kenya, if you change the smallholder farmer, there's a likelihood you will change how we do farming in Kenya. So for smallholder farmers, if at all they have to balance productivity, so I'm growing to sell somewhere, I've traditionally heavily used maybe synthetic products to intervene with pests, to intervene with productivity, fertilizer and whatnot. How do you convince them to embrace a more sustainable way of doing it? How do they buy into this?
Unfortunately, some of them are learning through the hard way what is happening through with their produce as we speak. So many farmers are complaining of poor produce, stunted growth, just basically sustainable harvest. I mean, the simple factors is get your facts right. Yeah? Farming doesn't mean you just take your djembe and go to the farm and, you know, just dig and plant, wait for the rains, harvest, you know. You also need to understand the basics. For example, if you are a small farmer, the 80% that we are talking about here, basically, you know, you're doing your small kales or your cabbages for you to take to the farm. But how can I improve this? Yes, you want to use fertilizers. Yes, you want to use synthetic pesticides and acaricides. But at the end of the day, you need to understand the effect it has to your soil. And that is why we keep telling farmers, you know, try to embrace organic farming. Try as much as possible. I know people have gone commercial, they want to do things a quick way, you want the best product, you want things to go to the farm, but at the expense of your future. Because some of these synthetic products have a lifetime effect, not only to the soil, even to the health. Some of these pesticides are dangerous, can have adverse effect if used. I've not said they're bad, I've said if used badly. And this is why so many of these small-scale farmers, some of them don't even follow instructions. You tell them, put 5 ml to 20 ml. You'll say, why can't I put 10 ml? And then you want things to work very fast. So what I'll really advise farmers is, number one, know your practice well. Try to understand, learn your farm, learn the kind of soil you have. There are people, when we discuss about soil tests, they shy away from it because probably of the cost implications, or you don't want to go into the details of your soil health. But eventually you will need to do a soil check on your farm to understand, to get a breakdown of what can I do to improve the harvest coming from this soil. Yeah. So we need to have farmers gain knowledge, make use of extension services that are provided by the county government through the agriculture department, and also learn. I'm sure everybody has a smartphone. You can always go do your research. Sometimes you look at your plants. There are apps that you can just take a picture and then it shows you. I was talking to somebody just a few minutes ago showing me the tomatoes, saying that tomato has deficiency in potassium, all this, just by looking at it. But now there are apps that can help you do that. So you need to understand, have basics, and also learn to conserve the soil. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, a lot of learning for the farmers, if at all they are to transition into this. You've spoken about the government, which is quite critical. Traditionally, the impact of extension services, we've seen this back in the day, and the reduction of that, I think, there is a correlation with our production. But we want to take a short break. When we come back, we'll also tackle this issue of pest. It seems to be a huge problem. We also have the issue of even the way we do sustainability in the value chain up. So in logistics, in selling, even post-harvest losses, there's still elements of sustainability that we can embrace on the whole value chain, and we'll sort of unpack that. But for now, Farm Kenya Show takes a short break. Keep it KTN.
Machine ningekuwa nayo ingekuwa bora zaidi kuliko chembe. Ndio maana natumia chembe kwa kutumia hii shamba ndogo ndogo yangu. So ningekuwa na uwezo, ningepata machine ndio ni manage kulipa hii eka yangu 15 niko nayo.
Indeed, sauti ya mkulima right there, and the impact of mechanization in agriculture. You have land, but it's costly to get people to till it for you. You mechanize, it saves you on cost, which is more efficient. But today we are still touching the bigger topic of sustainable farming, and we have Robert Mokio, who's a sustainable farming expert, with us. So, Robert, because we can transform sustainability at the production level. The farmers can embrace the new ways of saying we will go the organic way. That is one of the ways. But sustainability is the whole value chain. So let's unpack the value chain. For starters, you've gotten your product, your well-produced, sustainable product. There's the huge issue of post-harvest losses in the country. How does sustainability kick in at that phase and sort of cushion our farmers?
First of all, let me take you back. Production is one of the key areas in the cycle of production. Once you have a sustainable production, then the others will follow slowly by slowly. Yeah. Now, for example, you have a 10-acre and you want to do your maize, then you have a good harvest. Now it takes us to have harvest and storage. No, you have to look at how will I be able to store my maize. And then after storage, we have to look at the transportation. Transportation goes to the processing and to the final product. Now, this value chain has to interlink. Yeah. For example, we have post-harvest loss, especially things like tomatoes, onions. We normally have lots yearly. We lose tons and tons of thousands of kilos out of wastages. Now, we normally tell farmers to look at post-harvest mitigation. In that, there are ways that you can make use of even the spoiled harvest. For example, tomatoes, we were talking to some farmers in Kerugoya about what to do with your onions or tomatoes after they're wasted. People are being trained how to, make tomato paste, make tomato powder out of it, because you don't want to count losses and then you leave it that. You can look at how you can be able to create a positive out of a negative from that loss. Other things that affect post-harvest, probably like issues of climate change. Sometimes like cabbages. We have so many people have lost their cabbages right now because of too much rains, unexpected rains that we did not anticipate. So in such a situation, it's really quite hard to for the farmer to go through such a loss. But what is the extent? How can you mitigate in such a situations, for example? Yeah. Now that is where we have linkages between the wasted product and how can you be able to even sell it to people with animals. For example, cabbages now. Cabbages are spoiled. What do you do? Do you throw them? You don't need to throw them. You can use it to even give farm animals. Yeah. There are issues that now, after post-harvest, the things that even the government now needs to come in, especially when we look at infrastructure. During the rains, it's quite a challenge for farmers to transport their farm produce to the market. Now, that is where we need to have a conversation with the government, the county governments or local authorities that are there, because it's quite important that this produce reach the market in time and in good standards. But once, like I said before, once we ensure that all the systems are in check, we have the ready product. Once we have the ready product, we don't have, or we have minimal wastage, then the chain continues smoothly to the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have some of the biggest barriers of the whole agricultural value chain of taking sustainable production? Because I know that now farmers are embracing, but it's really, especially if you're in an export business, is really dictated by the markets, which these days, yes. So talk to me about what makes it a little bit difficult for farmers to transition into sustainable production overall, and the whole value chain, even those who are in logistics, those who are, interaction with the farmers.
Farming is business, yeah? And when cost of business is high, everything is affected. Now, such issues that really affect farmers right now are government policies, government taxes that really affect the input to farming. You've just heard from the small clip our farmer says he doesn't have the money to mechanize, and I'd rather use jembes and whatnot, yeah? Now, if we try to look at how we can minimize the cost of input, that is the one key sector that is making people shy away, especially the small-scale farmers, from getting into high productive agriculture. Number one, you start saying, hey, the seeds are a bit too expensive, or fertilizer, can I maintain the price of fertilizer? When you look at that, you also look at the market. Is the market ready? How volatile is the market? Like, there are times when prices of tomatoes can be so high, that is a plus to the farmer. And there are times when we have too much, the demand can be too much, that the prices are high, and sometimes the surplus production, and making the price go very low. Now, a government can intervene in such a situation.
Okay.
By probably seeing how they can cushion farmers. Cost of production is the number one inhibitor to sustainable farming. Because if we can be able to embrace a few technologies, just mechanization for an instance, yeah. If we zero taxed agricultural inputs, cost of tractors, cost of these machines that are used to harvest or to process the land, we reduce completely, or we just zero tax fertilizer, we zero tax seedlings, It will make it easy even for any farmer to want to do agriculture as the main activity, not as a secondary activity. Now, another thing that we had discussed privately is how we perceive agriculture. If somebody sees me, he says I'm a farmer. He doesn't understand that I'm also an expert because I consult in agricultural activities. So somebody puts agriculture on the lower end there. Says mkulima is just a secondary thing, or it's something for retirees and people out there who are not conversant with life. So that is why so many graduates, after graduating, they just go searching for white-collar jobs, and they leave a lot of farmland back home. So if you put agriculture as a main activity, and concentrate on production, that won't be a challenge. I don't think we'll be having issues of food insecurity. Yeah,
that's quite pertinent. That we have to prioritize agriculture at the end of the day. But costs seem to be a huge barrier of entry into sustainable agriculture. And cost trickles down to competitiveness. If I've tried my best to produce my tomatoes in a sustainable fashion, I used manure, limited pests, products and synthetic products. Vis-a-vis these other farmers utilize all these inputs, but mine happen to be at a higher cost. It becomes very difficult to compete with them. I mean, how do we address that issue of cost? Because sustainability is also even the people that are employed being able to be paid sufficiently. Sorry, it's part and parcel of that sustainability. But talk to me about that cost variation. It's expensive to produce sustainably. It is relatively less expensive, or it's relatively cheaper to produce less sustainably. How do you remain in business?
That's a very interesting discussion you brought forward. But to what extent? There's a big question out there, because, like I said, sustainability, you're looking through to the future. You get your farm, you do the same farming system over and over again. In 5 years, your farm just collapses. You can no longer produce. While the person who's practicing sustainable farming continues thriving. You see, as much as we are looking at costs, and that's the biggest challenge we have in a capitalistic society, where we want to get money very fast, but at what cost? The cost, health. Are we looking at health? Are we looking at how will this farm look like probably a decade from now, when we have degradation, when we have synthetic products that are being introduced to the market? Some of them are not even checked. Some of them are sneaked behind cabs, and people are using them on their farms, and they become toxic to the human body. Will we allow this? Will we continue having people getting sick? So as much as cost, as much as you want your money fast, but you also look at at what cost will it bring? Yeah, you want to do things really fast, get your money real quick. That's okay. That's a capitalistic life. But at what cost? We're looking at a future trend. We're looking at how will my farm look like 100 years from now. You see, like in the US, the mid-states where they do lots of farming. Now, those farms have been there for centuries and centuries, and they continue being there. In such a situation where we use unchecked pesticides, unchecked caricides and all that, will we be able to have farms that progressively do well 100 years from now? We want. And what is the health implication? Some of these things are so toxic to human beings. We'll be having a surge of cancer patients left, right, and center. So these things have to be checked, and the best party to come and do a check is the government. Do a control on the kind of pesticides that are there in the market. Are they okay? Can we subsidize on organic pesticide? Can we subsidize on, and things like manure? I don't think it's not really that expensive as compared to you going to buy fertilizer over and over again. Yeah, so cost implications vis-a-vis the future. that is what we can look at.
Do you think also this can be consumption driven?
It's all consumption driven, because finally the consumer is the one who the consumer is the one who will get the final product, and once he gets the final product, what is its implication to his health? What is the implication to the well-being? Yeah, we see a surge of these diseases. We ask ourselves, where have they come from? Simply because a few individuals decided to want to get rich quick and use unchecked kind of chemicals on the farms. Yeah, but I'm not saying all chemicals are bad. There are quite a good number of chemicals that can be used. But now we are telling farmers to try to minimize or try to come up with a product that can be healthy. Organic is the word. And that is why in developed nations, organic products are more expensive than these products that have been tilled by chemicals.
Oh, and that incentivizes the market.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because if I can get 20 shillings more for the same kgs of cabbage or something different, then that is where I'm going to look.
Let me make you when I used to live in Baton Rouge in Louisiana, I used to go to the food market, and then I'm seeing organic bread, which is like about $3 from the other one, which is about $1. So you ask yourself, what is this organic bread all about? So they minimize the kind of chemicals. I mean, they are traced. The traceability that you'd asked some time back, traceability from how it's grown, how it's processed to the final consumer. And then it is certified 100% organic.
Okay.
Yeah,
that badge. And these days we see more and more organic products sort of on the supermarket shelves. Majority of our open air markets, there is no, labeling and whatnot. But there is something about when the system embraces. And from your observation, looking at where we buy our foods, especially these food markets and supermarkets these days, I'm seeing a lot of them are embracing, paying attention where the product is coming from.
Exactly.
How it is produced, who produced. Because also there is that element of, yes, let us support young farmers, maybe let us support women who are farmers, all that. So it's very targeted. Do you think this is the right direction of sort of having this ripple effect of more farmers will start realizing, wow, so there is benefits to this. I can access a whole chain that has reach within the country just because of how I produce my products.
Yes, very true. And then, there are some supermarkets and chain stores that are really promoting young people with an innovation, value addition. And through these incentives, they're encouraging young farmers to embrace agriculture as not only a side hustle, but a main hustle. I can name so many individuals who are producing honey, quality honey, which are being bought by big supermarkets here. The people are doing, I know of a neighbor of mine who's doing mushrooms and selling quite so well in so many of these supermarkets. It's not like you're in farming and you ask yourself, where do I take my product, you see? And then like you talked about value addition and the chain. The incentive of checking from where this crop or this product came from straight to its production to the final consumer, it's quite important, because between there, somebody can become unscrupulous. There are preservatives that are used in some of this storage. You can take your sukuma wiki, or you can do your product very well. You sell it to the producer or the processor. The processor can put in ingredients. That is why it's quite important to read the label if you go to there are some consumers who are very careful. When they go to the supermarket, you have to look at the ingredient. What ingredient? Does it have this? Does it have that? Does it have this preservative? And there are some who are very careful to say, I don't want something that has preservative, especially things like yogurt. Somebody goes to buy yogurt, anything with a preservative, no. Because you do not, yes, you can be the producer. You've done your sukuma wiki or your nyanyas or whatever, or even your milk. But now, the processing, what is the standard of processing? Yeah, so it is quite important that we understand that the whole chain.
Definitely. We have to understand the whole chain. And even as we come close to the end of this conversation, there is a whole future. We have a plan as a country. We have Vision 2030. As Africa, we have Vision 2063. You know, we talk about all these sustainable development goals, which are also there. And they sound really amazing. They are tools that are supposed to sort of give us the metrics of our progress as time goes by. This issue of sustainable farming, what goals are we looking at? And do you think we might hit these goals?
We are there and we are also not there. The SDGs are quite important because they give up a roadmap to sustainability in future. Because, you know, we are not living our lives for our lives. We are living it for our future. And if we mess up our lifetime, the people who are coming after us won't have anything to be proud of, yeah? So many things that we've discussed on the SDGs, yeah? Especially look at health, look at food security, look at climate. Let's talk about climate change all the time. All this, yeah? Free health, all those and the SDGs. And you ask yourself, are we reaching there? We're almost there. Partly we're almost there because, first of all, we have to look at our production. Is the production sustainable for the future? How are we conserving the resources that we have? Resources, not only the soil, we also look at water. We also look at so many other things. How are we conserving the environment in the process? Likewise, how are we going to achieve zero food insecurity? Are we going to achieve proper health? Now, if we embrace sustainable agriculture, are we going to curb on diseases that emulate from lifestyle? Yeah, those people who love eating chicken, processed chicken, and become obese. Okay. And then there are those people who actually eating food that are not processed well. Then we have diseases we do not know where they came from, like a surge of cancer in the country. You ask yourself, where is it coming from? Basically, it's just the food that we take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. Robert, our time has run out. But in less than 10 seconds, if you are to convince a farmer who's watching today that go sustainable, what will you tell them? I know 10 seconds is little time to convince somebody. But what will you tell them?
I'll just tell you one thing. Number one, look at the future. Look at your children and your children's children.
Yes.
Look at your farm. Would you want it to produce for the next 100 years or for the next 10 years?
Okay.
Look at the kind of food that you're producing. Is it healthy food? Is it organic, or you want to get money quickly?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Definitely.
Yeah.
We have to embrace all that. Look at the future. And that's where we put a full stop to this conversation. Thank you very much. It can be achieved. It's possible to do sustainable farming, and it starts with you. My name is Noah Kipkemboi. That's been Farm Kenya. Till next Monday, it's bye-bye for now.
Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja.